fort of Raktagarh is still marked on maps today, but the path leading to it is not found on any map. Built on top of a hill, the fort appears as a ruin during the day. Broken ramparts, loose stones, and moss growing everywhere. But as soon as the sun sets, the fort ceases to be a ruin. It awakens. Locals say that the fort is empty during the day, but at night, no one is ever alone there. The first instant of fear arose when two history students from the city went to survey the fort at night. They had entered with drones and cameras. The last thing recorded was their voice. The wind is blowing from top to bottom here. This should not be happening. After that, the signal was lost. The next day, one student's camera was found near the fort's wall. The other student was never found. The camera's memory contained only one incomplete clip: darkness, a stone wall, and the sound of someone dragging iron boots. In the second incident, a local shepherd wandered towards the fort at night. In the morning, he was found in the forest below, alive, but his voice was gone. He could not speak, only repeatedly drew the same figure on the wall with his figures, a four containers, dirt, and a lean shadow above it. Doctor said shock. The villager said he had been put on guard duty. The matter reached the district level and then ACP R.K. Verma. As soon as the ACP saw the file, he noted one thing: every incident had occurred in the second watch of the night, not at midnight nor near dawn, exactly the time when in ancient time the guard changed at forts. The ACP reached the fort during the day. As soon as he entered, he felt that the place swallowed sounds. Footsteps did not echo off the walls. Inside the fort was a long corridor with a very low ceiling. The walls bore the mix of swords, not cuts, but abrasions, as if someone had repeatedly struck the same spot. Iron rings were embedded here and there, where prisoners had once been bound, but some of the rings were still swaying slightly, even though there was no wind. The most terrifying part of the fort was the north tower. A stone staircase led down there, straight into the darkness. Something was etched on the first stone of the stairs. In an ancient script, he who came at night remained on guard. The ACP ran his finger over it. The stone was not cold, it was damp. As evening fell, the ACP decided to stay in the fort. The local police objected, but the ACP insisted. As night deepened, the atmosphere of the fort changed. The wind seemed to be coming not from above, but from within the walls. The torch flame was not burning straight, it was bending downwards, as if something was pressing it down. In the second watch of the night, the first sound arose from within the fort, the sound of iron boots striking the ground. The steps could be counted: 1, 2, 3, then a pause. The ACP saw a shadow standing at the end of the corridor. It was not fully visible, just shoulders and something hanging down like a broken sword. The shadow didn't move forward. It just watched. Suddenly, a bell like sound came from the north tower. There was no bell there, the sound was like the clanging of iron, a signal for the changing of the guard. At that moment, all the fort's doors, which had been opened during the day, closed on their own. No force, no bag, just close. ACP, a whisper came over the ACP's radio, not from one person, but from many voices. The guard post is empty. The shadow in the corridor took its first step, and at the moment the SCP understood, this fort does not kill people, it keeps them. Whoever came here at night was met the next guard. The moment of gates closed, the atmosphere in the fort changed. It was not the cold, it was a wet, as if someone had laid night upon the stones. Standing in the corridor, ACP R.K. Verma felt his breath, now bouncing off the walls, not returning. The torch flame dipped lower, downwards, as if someone were forcing it to its knees. The metallic sound coming from the north tower was now clear. It was not a bell, but the counting of footsteps, a pause after every 3 steps, then the some rough, scraping sounds of metals, as if someone were dragging their swords along the ground. The SCP tried to move forward, but the corridor felt strangely strict. It was not dampness, it was a grip. The first guard appeared, on rather partially appeared. The upper part of his body was visible, but not the lower. The iron armor was not rusty, it was worn, as if it had been worn for centuries. A helmet covered his face, but in the place of eyes were 2 dark hollows, within which was a faint glamour, a glamour that came not from light but from focus. The guard stopped. He didn't raise his swords. He simply bowed his head towards the SCP, as if reporting for duty. At that moment, another sound echoed within the fort, the sound of someone exhaling a very long breath. The SCP looked behind him. A local soldier was standing in the corner of the corridor, the one who had accompanied him during the day. His face was changing. It was not sudden, it was happening gradually. The corners of his eyes began to drop. His shoulders slumped, his hands instinctively reached from the iron rings, as if his body knew where it belonged. The SCP called his name, no answer. The soldier picked up an old spear hanging on the wall. The spear was heavy, but he held it as if he had been doing this for years. A voice emerged from his mouth, heavy and clear. The North Tower cannot remain empty. This was the first possession. Without a scream, without a struggle, just a transfer of responsibility. The stairs of North Tower opened on their own. The stone didn't move. They received the same cold, damp air rose from below. The SCP understood. The fort was not calling someone to kill. It wanted to be complete the guard shift. Whoever was inside at night had to stand guard at one of the towers. The SCP protested. He picked up the radio, static. Then the same whisper, don't speak, transfer. The radio grew warm in his hand, as if something had awakened within the metal. The SCP threw the radio away. The voice faded into the walls. A second guard appeared, this time from the southern rampart. His gait was different, not shuffling but measured. Behind him, old blood stains appeared on the stones, not fresh but renewed every night. He stopped in front of the ACP and rested the tip of his swords on the ground. A metallic sound, an acknowledgement of the guard duty. And then the fourth rule became clear. He who stands on the north tower will see. He who stands on the southern ramparts will hear. He who remains at the main gate will wait. Whichever of the three is empty, the fort will fill it itself. The SCP watched as the possessed soldier climbed the stair of the north tower. With each step, his body became harder, transforming from human to metal. The SCP ran, trying to pull him back. When he touched him, it felt as if he had grabbed stone. The soldier turned. There were no eyes now, only a gleam. The night is not over, the voice said. The guard must be changed. Suddenly, many shadows stirred within the fort. They emerged from the walls, rose from the floor, hung from the ceiling, all incomplete, all waiting. The ACP realized that staying here was more than dying. Times didn't end here. Responsibility began. He chose the last option, the main gate, but a third guard stood before the gate, the oldest one. His armor was broken, but his body was the most steadfast. He looked at the ACP and said very slowly, "He who hesitates at the gate becomes the fort's." The ACP stopped for a moment. In that same moment, the gates barred slid forwards, not to close but to measure. The ACP stepped back. He looked towards the north tower. The captured soldier was now standing there, motionless. The soldier of voice from the southern ramparts. The sounds of voice from the southern rampart were growing louder, as if many orders were being given at once. The night was transitioning from the second watch to the third, and the fourth was not yet completely occurred. The night was no longer moving forward, it had stopped. ACP RK Verma realized for the first time that time in the fort acted like walls. Nothing to move forward, just pressing. That pressure increased with every breath. The soldier standing on the north basin no longer seemed human. His neck was straight, his shoulders broad, and his body so still that even the wind seemed to touch him and return. Voices from the southern ramparts were now turning into the words. Old orders, unfulfilled sentence, and those names, so many names. The oldest guard standing at the main gate stepped forward. His armor bore deep cut, not from swords, but from times. He stopped in front of the ACP and lifted his helmet from the first time. His face was not visible. There was only a depth, as if there was not endless tunnel within. The fort cannot remain empty, he said. The guard must go on. The SCP now remembered the fort's real name, Raktagarh. This name did not come from battle. The name came from those who stayed here every night. History books said that fort was abandoned after the last war, but the truth was that it hadn't been abandoned. It was full with guards, with prisoners, with soldiers who had been made to stand guard at night. with the promise we will change them in the morning. And morning never came. The fort's rule was simple but ruthless. Whoever remained on duty at night became part of the fort. The SCP tried to retreat. The bars of the main gate drew closer. They were not closing, they were measuring. The fort was deciding whether the SCP was right for this place. Several eyes flashed simultaneously from the north toward southern ramparts said in unison, "Wait." The SCP asked one last question. What if the guard is broken? The fort didn't answer. The fort began to shake. Dust fell from the wall. Stone slid from the roof. This was not breach. It was a reminder that the fort only stands when the guard is in place. The SCP understood the guard cannot be broken. It must be fulfilled. He looked towards the north tower. The soldier standing there had now completely changed. The SCP went up to him and said loudly, "Your duty is over." The words bounced off the stones, making no impacts. Then the SCP remembered the old inscriptions engraved on the wall. Whoever came at night, staying on guard, came at night, meaning during the day. The SCP noticed moss growing on the fort wall. This moss don't grow at night. It a testimony to sunlight. He picked up a torch and struck it with full force. It didn't ignite, but light spread. For the first time, a yellow light shone inside the fort, not like morning, but different from night. The soldier standing on the north tower shook. The sounds on the southern ramparts broke. The guard at the main gate took a step back. The fort trembled. The SCP understood. The guard needed night. If night broke, the guard would break. He struck the torch against the walls, dirt and floor. Light spread wherever there was moss. The darkness within the fort began to recede. As if someone had changed the rules, the guard fingers grew blurry. The armor grew heavier as if it could not be carried anymore. The guard at the main gate spoke for the last time. "If was leave, someone else will come." The SCP replied, "Then the guard must end here." He threw the torch between the bars of the main gate. The light fell outside for the first time. The night outside the fort and the night inside collided. There was a loud, heavy sound. The sound of falling iron. The soldier standing on the north dirt fell. His armor fell to the ground. No human emerged from within, only emptiness. The fort filled silence. The doors opened, a brass bellow. Time moved on. The SCP came out. He looked back. The fort was still standing, but its walls seemed empty, as if someone had unloaded a burden. Morning had not come, but the night was over.